You can't tell the difference between the perpetual subjugation of English working class people, of Welsh working class people and of Scottish working class people, because we're all under the same boot.
Class consciousness overrides nationalism. They don't care really whether there's a worker in Cardiff or a worker in Bolton, because they're all really workers together in similar industries under the same conditions.
I don't think I would see an awful big difference between whether you were a worker in Manchester or whether you were a worker in Glasgow. In terms of your experiences, they would have been very, very similar. So I think that fight for political representation is a working class fight as opposed to a Scotland versus England fight for me.
In 1838, 6 years after what many saw as the betrayal of the Reform Act, working class reformers launched a new movement to fight for the vote and political rights. That movement, Chartism, was the first to spread across the nations and the first in which people defined themselves not by their nationality or their religion, but by their social class.
Working people had been campaigning for decades for electoral reform against corruption. What's new, what's different about Chartism?
First of all, I would say it's economic circumstances. So poverty, poor living conditions.
That's because of the Industrial Revolution.
Yes. All of those things frame the need to change society.
And what are the demands of Chartism? What is the Charter?
The Charter is often framed as 6 specific points. And you can see from this document, it is the People's Charter. First and foremost, universal suffrage, the idea that everyone should be entitled to a vote.
But only men?
Initially, men and women, but eventually, only men. Secondly, no property qualifications. That is to say, you don't have to have property in order to be elected as an MP.
What the 1832 Reform Act didn't give.
Yes. Annual parliaments. If you are annually accountable, you are less likely to be a corrupt representative. The equal representation, some areas had 2 MPs, others had 1, some had none. So what they wanted was an even spread of representatives. And the payment of members, that is to enable the working people to stand for Parliament.
Because working class people, even if they could get elected, they couldn't afford to sit in Parliament.
They couldn't sustain themselves, that's right. And then finally, and crucially, vote by ballot. Because pressure brought to bear by large employers, large landowners, it ruled out any possibility of the population exercising their ballot freely and, privately.
This is not radical to us today. They're the fundamental basis of our democracy, but they are radical in the 1830s.
Completely. You've got a very elitist House of Commons, and they're not going to change the system so they can no longer control it. This is a membership card of the National Charter Association of Great Britain. So, it's a grand title. Members were asked to pay a penny a week subscription. And what you've got here is you've got the rose for England, the shamrock representing Ireland, and then the thistle.
It's arguing that working people, no matter which of the 4 countries they're in, have something in common, have interests in common.
They are all sharing the hardship, therefore they all share in the fight to correct it and reform it.